Where's the kaboom? There was supposed to have been an earth-shattering kaboom. Many of you who are my age, perhaps a little bit older, will remember this from Looney Tunes, Marvin the Martian, trying to blow up the earth with his stick of dynamite in the QX-22 something something something. But it is a very appropriate meme for what we've been going through this last 6 to 7 months. And probably in a larger context, the last 10 to 12 years. The reason I say that is there's been no shortage of experts on the internet saying why Florida's the worst place to be in the world. Any kind of a hiccup, any kind of a problem, this is going to be ground zero. This is going to be the place that everything falls apart. And now we know that it's actually the place where everything stayed together, where everything is as it should be, on the ground, factually. People went to the beach. People socialized. Even during the height of the restrictions, Florida was the freest place in the lower 48 for sure. Maybe with the exception of perhaps South Dakota. For those of you who haven't heard, Governor DeSantis has basically returned Florida to pre-COVID standards. Any locality wishing to remain under the bed with Dana Perino and Anderson Cooper is going to need to have to justify it. He has a chart in front of him at this press conference that really shows the truth of the situation. Let me zoom it in a little bit for you. These are the survival rates by age group in Florida. School-age kids all the way up to freshmen in college, 99.997% chance of surviving COVID. If you are 20 to 49, you have a 99.98% chance of surviving COVID. People 50 to 69, I'm in that age group, just turned 50 this year, 99.5% chance you are going to survive COVID. And if you are over 70, 94.6%. Those are pretty good odds for the oh-so-hopeless pandemic that the media would have you believe is running rampant. Pretty good survival odds, wouldn't you say? Let me read a little bit from the article just to give you the facts. Restaurants will be able to operate without restrictions in Florida, said Governor Ron DeSantis Friday, as he announced the state would move to phase 3 of reopening. That was 2 days ago. Every business has a right to operate. This is a quote. You can't just say no after 6 months and have people twisting in the wind, DeSantis said in St. Petersburg. In making the announcement, DeSantis said coronavirus survival rates were at 94% in the state and that hospitalizations were down. DeSantis also said all penalties or fines for refusing to wear masks will be suspended. Phase 3 of Florida's reopening plan does suggest restaurants have some social distancing protocols and take sanitation precautions. That's always a good idea. Personally, even prior to COVID, if I walked into a restaurant and there were people bumper to bumper everywhere, I turned around and went and found another restaurant. Just because, who wants to have that experience? Quote, businesses should maintain adequate sanitation practices among employees and patrons during all hours of operation. Menus, if laminated, should continue to be cleaned after each usage. Of course, that's standard. Paper menus shall be designed for single use and then disposed of. Once again, standard stuff. But they will be able to operate at a minimum of 50% regardless of any local government rules. Regardless of any local government rules, they also cannot be closed. See, now here's the reason why this doesn't violate libertarian principles. Localities do not license restaurants to operate. States do. At least in the state of Florida, they do. The localities have no skin in the game. They have no dog in this fight. If it was under their purview and under their guidance, then maybe they would have that ability. But they don't. It's a state issue. People over 65 years of age and those with underlying health continue to practice social distancing but can resume public interaction. Businesses that have been teleworking because of the pandemic can resume unrestricted staffing at work sites. Employees can resume non-essential travel. Theme parks can return to normal operations. Limited social distancing, of course. Gyms and fitness centers can operate at full capacity. Bars, pubs, and nightclubs that derive 50% of sales from alcohol can operate at full capacity with social distancing protocols. The new order affects restaurants, pubs, and bars. However, the governor pointed out that many of the other businesses in the state are already open, which has already been the case. This has been the case from the beginning. We have the best governor in the union by far. He's a Republican, but he is acting much like a libertarian. People come to Florida to have a good time. People come to Florida to relax. People live here for that reason. It is the freest state in the union by far. It is the freest state in the union by far. And the reason I exclude some of the states out west is because of the amount of land that's owned by the federal government out west. Almost none here in Florida. Now, if you would like to live in a free state, and that's something that's of value to you, and you would be willing to defend it, we would love to have you. We would love to have you. But if you really want to find a kaboom, you can look no further than California, New York, Michigan. You'll find it if you want to look for it. We live in a free country. We live in a free country, and we have, at least here in the lower 48 loosely bound unions that act a lot more like miniature countries than they do states of one country. And this is what we need to protect. This is the argument for states' rights. This is the fundamental argument for all of libertarian and states' rights thought. What's happening right now? That Florida can be what Florida wants to be, regardless of what DC's opinion is, or New York's opinion, or California's opinion, or Michigan's opinion. We can be free. If the governance in New York wants to choose to not be, guess what? They can choose that. The people can choose to leave, just like they have been in droves for the last 10 years. Fleeing California, fleeing the North, fleeing from New York, and coming here. That's why we have more people in Florida, population-wise, than the entire state of New York, including the city. And we don't live on top of each other like they do. This issue with COVID-19 is proof of it. Is absolutely proof of it. We have more people, but we choose to live a different way. We kind of spread out a little bit. Florida's not a huge state, but if you do it properly, you don't have to live on top of one another. There aren't these huge concrete jungles of skyscrapers for miles. There are cities that have tall buildings, yes. But the vast majority of folks here spread out. And amazingly, with this many people, it truly did turn out to be a nothing burger. Grand total, 22 million people in our state, 14,000 deaths. 14,000 out of 22 million. Just to do the math on this. 2.2 million is 10% of 22 million. 220,000 would be 1%. 22,000 would be 0.1%. 14,000, which is the death total, would be 0.066666, repeating, roughly speaking, 0.06. In a state that is the third most populous in the Union. Think about that. It's all about choices. It's all about choices. It's all about understanding what governance is, understanding what leadership is. And this gentleman has that concept down in spades. His time in the military served him well. And I guess I will leave it there. Happy Sunday. Like, share, subscribe.